Well, thank you all for coming to our Burton Park celebration this morning. We just wanted to take a moment in the life cycle of Burton Park and celebrate a couple of accomplishments, and we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here with us today. You know, during 2016, I know many of you have not realized this, we're in the middle of an election cycle. And during this election cycle, one thing that's been referenced is jobs. So as we talk about Burton Park, Burton Business and Industrial Park, the purpose of this land and its acquisition by the county is the creation of jobs. Now, government can create jobs three different ways. The first is that government can create massive regulations and policies which spawn entire industries. Reference the IRS Code of Regulations, or more locally, perhaps some stormwater regulations. Of course, government can create jobs directly. We can add employees to our roles. And sometimes that is absolutely a necessity. When you have a growing population, as in Onslow County, you may need to add paramedic ambulances if you expect a response time within, say, 9 minutes, which is pretty critical after a heart attack. But generally speaking, we've tried to hold the line on direct creation of government jobs. We try to limit government to the core functions that are necessary. Now, the third way that government can create jobs is to create an environment that's conducive to job creation by the private sector. And that's been the course that's been charted and followed by Onslow County over the last several years. We have made significant investment in job creation in Onslow County through our partnerships, through expansion of water and sewer systems throughout the county, and through, of course, Burton Park. The very location of the Onslow County Government Center creates more traffic in Burton Park, but that's not enough. There's a lot of land here, 730 acres. 730 acres. And unless you can access that land, it's really not beneficial. So today, in part, we're celebrating the ongoing work at the Luther Midget Drive, which is a new location here in Burton Park. It's a new road that's currently under construction. It's scheduled to be completed early in 2017, and we're extremely pleased that we have this opportunity to extend a roadway which is 2,438 linear feet into the woods here at Burton Park. That will open up 244 total acres for potential development. That potential development will be in the form of new clean industry coming to Onslow County by the private sector and new jobs that come along with that industrial development. That roadway will be complete with water, sewer, and three-phase power. We also have natural gas that's come into Burton Industrial Park, Burton Business and Industrial Park, and so that will also enhance our ability to compete with other counties in North Carolina and with other states in the area. Now, we were financially prudent in building this road, and I would specifically like to thank one of our local residents, Mr. Steve Wangren, who helped us obtain local industrial development fund monies in the amount of $1.2 million. That, coupled with $560,000 in local earmarked economic development money from Onslow County, is paying for this $1.8 million roadway. Now, even if you have a road, you're still in dire competition with other people. It's not a for sure thing that you're going to land that new business or industry. So there are a couple of other tools in the toolkit that you need. One is an excellent economic development partnership. Ms. Sheila Knight and her staff at Jacksonville Onslow Economic Development are working hard to position us with the North Carolina Department of Commerce and others to make sure that we are competitive. Beyond our sales force, we have to have a product. And so also today, we're very proud of the fact that just on that new roadway, Luther Midget Drive, you will find a brand new little sign placed there by Jacksonville Onslow Economic Development, and it says, "Coming soon." Now, we hope that sign will be replaced with "Coming soon" in the name of an industry, and, I'd take 4,000 or 5,000 new jobs. That'd be all right. But right now, we'll be satisfied with "Coming soon," a 30,000 square foot future industrial building That's being paid for with, once again, earmarked funds, economic development earmarked funds by the County of Onslow. About $1.4 million will be invested in an empty building that we will work to place a good, clean industry in for the citizens of Onslow County. This is how we are competitive in today's marketplace, along with the decision points that boards of commissioners have to follow with regards to industrial recruitment and those economic incentives that, let's face it, on the playing field everyone else is providing. So as industries come and we have these opportunities, that's the decision point faced by the Board of County Commissioners and Jacksonville Onslow Economic Development. So we have a lot to be thankful for here today. One thing I am personally thankful for is that whether it is the creation of the road or the creation of that new future industrial building, we are, to the extent possible, using local forces. Now, for the roadway, Morton Trucking and Parker & Associates have been working very hard. I see some of them gathered here today to help us build that road. And for the building, we're very pleased with the design-build team of Smith-Sennett Architecture and Pro Construction. There's nothing like having your A-team on the field when you're trying to do a construction project. And we're also doing this in such a way that the county retains good control over construction. We do know who to reach out and touch, and we are confident that those projects will be on time and within budget. So thank you all for taking a few moments, and those of you that will be watching by television, thank you for taking a few moments and watching this new great adventure in Onslow County as we open up hundreds of acres for additional industrial development. Now, at this time, we have with us all 5 members of the County Board of Commissioners, and I'd like to invite them individually to come up here and make a few comments, beginning with our chairman, Chairman Barbara Eichner, and then if each commissioner would call on the next in succession. Chairman Eichner.
Thank you. Burton Park has been a work in progress for many years. And thankfully, to this Board of Commissioners and the prior Board of Commissioners, we've been able to have a project ongoing to try to market the property in Burton Park. 8 years ago, when I first arrived on the political scene, Burton Park looked a lot different than it does right now. But we have, like a farmer, said our land cannot lay dormant and expect us to grow beneficial crops. The crop we want to yield out of Burton Park is jobs, economic development, growth for our community. But in order to do so, we've got to plow the field, we've got to plant the seed, we've got to develop and fertilize. And hopefully, once we have laid the foundation, we will see Ms. Knight and her co-workers be bringing a productive candidates to this park, and they will be almost giddy to participate in Onslow County. We've changed the dynamic of it. We're trying to add roads. We're trying to add another shell building. We've groomed some of the lots to show how accessible and what a wonderful site they could be. And in doing so, we have always had the interest of economic development and what will appeal to those business owners that we so desperately would like to entice to come to our county and provide those much needed jobs. So with a grateful heart, I thank economic development for all their hard work. I hope that in the near future, we will see the hard work that has gone before come to raise a bumper crop of new jobs. At this time, Vice Chair, would you like to come forth and have a few words? Thank you.
Barbara pretty much said it all, but there's a lot more to it. The last 8 years, the commissioners that have been sitting, the seats behind me and at City Hall, we have done a lot. the vision that we had for this community was some of the best that I've ever seen. And there's so many movers and shakers in the audience today with Billy Sewell. He's always kind of keep me pushing a lot of times. Dr. Lingle, Joey, a lot of these people around there, Sheila. But the thing about it is economic development has been a big engine here to this community. And Jeff didn't go to where the money came from, but I can tell you where it come from. $2 million, I sat on the Eastern Region at the time the Eastern Region was dissolved, and they gave me a check for $2 million to bring back to Onslow County. It only could be used for economic development. So $560,000 of that is being toward the road. The $1.4 million is going toward the Shell building. But that was earmarked for actually economic development. That's what we're using it for. But the vision of these commissioners for the last 8 years has been the best I've ever seen. And I can tell you the first 4 years was a tough time for this commissioner. There was nothing like this taking place. There was no economic growth for this park. And it's like I told Billy one time a long time ago, if you build it, they will come. And that's what's happened. It's coming every day. We see something new. The road is great. The new Shell building is going to be out of this world. But that's all because of the people sitting in this audience, and not just me. It's you telling us what you want. It's you pushing us to do what we need is right for Onslow County. Thank you. Jack Wright?
Thank you, Paul and Chairman, for your kind words. And not much can be said that hadn't been said already. I will say that the naming of the road, Luther Midget Road, that was we just done at one of our last meetings, was a tribute to him, and also he would have been proud to be a part and see his name on such a road that was dedicated. And I think it was a unanimous vote by our board, and I think it was a unanimous vote by the economic development team, which I thank you for. When we're out campaigning and we're talking about elections, and some of the questions that's being asked by a lot of the media and a lot of the voters, they want to know, what are you doing with economic development? What are you doing with Burton Park? And I tell them that the biggest, least expensive investment that we've had to develop industry in Onslow County has been the economic development team. We've got a good crew and a good selection of business people that only has one thing in mind, is bringing industry here, making jobs, making it better. And with the money that we paid for our license plates back at the $5 fee for the Global Transpark, as it was then, we had a license plate that said that money would have never come back to here if we hadn't had Paul going to Raleigh and getting that money reallocated back here so we could use it just for economic development. And that's exactly what that money is used for, and that's all it can be used for, is economic development. So if we didn't use it, it'd be just set in a pot somewhere and be not applied. But the quicker you can build, the least expensive that you can build. We can build the Shell building, and we can put people in there. We build another Shell building, but because of the bubble, we had to sell the building for a little bit less than what we actually had in it. But we are making gains on that because the people that's in there put people to work. Those people paying taxes, they're shopping here, the employees here, and we're getting a return on the tax money every year. It becomes taxable once it's sold, so we're getting our money back. So it's not we don't have a deep water channel, we don't have rail, and we sure don't have an interstate here, but we're getting closer to getting an interstate hookup, I can tell you that. But 24 is getting very popular now with being able to be connected with Interstate 40, and that's going to be a big plus for us. Harry Brown is committed and obtained us, Senator Harry Brown's obtained $5 million for our Trade Center building, and that's going to work good for the Onslow County Schools. It's going to work good for the college. The college, I understand, will be able to use the building at night, where I know Dr. Lingle was cramped for space, for classroom space, and really it's a win-win for everybody if we can get that trades building here and actually train people for the type of work environment that we have, because a lot of people that's in business saying, especially automotive mechanics, they don't have technicians. So I think in carpentry, plumbing, electrical, all of that will be addressed in that trades building, and it's going to be just a big plus. Opening up that new road that's you see here, if you can't get people to the property, you can't sell the property. And thanks to the Blue Ribbon Panel, we had a Blue Ribbon Panel that led us and told us exactly what we needed to do. And I've made suggestions to Jeff, and the other board members has made suggestions to Jeff about clearing these lots. If you don't put a for sale sign up, people don't know it's for sale. So it's good to advertise that away. And when we get more businesses in here and we get the trade center open and we get the Shell building open, the more traffic that's in here, the more exposure we're going to get. And when you get the exposure, that's what sells the property, if you present it to them. So everything else that the other two commissioners before me said, I totally agree with. Thank you all for coming, and it's been a pleasure to see the folks that turn out today. Thank you. W.C. Jarman.
I don't know much else to say after all the ones before me, but this morning as I look here, there's a few people that's together here this morning, I think back at the years we bought this property. We wasn't popular people. We took some tongue lashings over buying this property. And it sat dormant for a long time. I remember very well back when I used to carry my father back and forth to Chapel Hill to get treatments. And then after he passed, I carried my brother-in-law for years back and forth. And I passed Triangle Park up there where it's at now. And there was one building sitting there. But there was a big sign there, Triangle Park. But there were no buildings. So I think if I didn't misunderstand, it was 15 years or so before they got another building in the Triangle Park. And of course, I know Burton Park will never be a Triangle Park, but I just thank God today that the Blue Ribbon Panel that we pointed to help us with visions on it. I appreciate the economic development people being on top of it. And I feel like now that we're on the road that one day we'll be proud of Burton Park, and our taxpayers maybe will reap back their money they spent for the park. So with that, I appreciate you all coming, and I just pray we will have a big park here, people that comes to economic development, jobs and all. I hope one day to see that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and I really don't know what is left to be said other than I can really share with you that industry, economic development, workforce development is really at the heart of who I am. Prior to becoming a county commissioner, working at the Chamber of Commerce for the past 5 years while I was there, I really began to understand through workforce development the need and what it was to have development in this county in order to provide jobs, in order to provide industry into Onslow County. And the one thing that I know, the fact that I worked with Sheila many times and had many conversations with her, and it was really a blessing to begin to know who she was and the driving force and what she has done for this county. And knowing that she's in that seat, I know that Onslow County is well taken care of. Billy Sewell, I tell you, you have been a remarkable person and a remarkable force in those executive meetings at the Commerce Building. So I would just like to say that I thank each of the hands that have been a part of this process. I am so thankful that I have been at the end road of the process, because it has really been amazing to see this county grow in the way that it has over the past 12 years that I have lived here, and what I've watched, the growth of industry. I've watched this building. I was able to have the first event done, the appointment of me coming into the county commissioner role. And I tell you what I've watched in the past 2 years of the county commissioners and what we've been able to accomplish and achieve brings me great satisfaction to this job. And I have truly enjoyed my stay here. And thank you very much.
There's an old story I once heard of a businessman traveling through North Carolina and made the trip many times, decided this particular trip he's going to get off the main highway, kind of take some of the back roads. Found himself in a quaint little town, picture Mayberry, if you will, for those of you old enough to remember that show. Boardwalks, sidewalks, wooden buildings. He decides to pull off the road, spend a little time there, and just relax, get away from the hectic pace. Goes in the drugstore, gets a soft drink, walks down the sidewalk, just enjoying the atmosphere. A couple comes out of a store in front of him, walking down the sidewalk, would appear to be a farmer and his wife, big man, bib overalls. His wife is, to be politically correct, shall we say, weight challenged. This was a big girl. Businessman walks as they approach the intersection, step off the boardwalk. She loses her footing, falls flat out in the middle of the road. Businessman, being a gentleman, runs up, but doesn't know what to do. He's kind of pacing about, trying to figure things out. Looks at the farmer and hollers, "I want to help, but I don't know where to grab hold." Farmer looks at him and says, "Son, grab hold anywhere. It's all got to come up." I think economic development is much like that, right? Whether it's roads, sewer, water, natural gas, electricity, buildings, it's all got to come up if we're going to have economic development. Today, we celebrate and say thank you to a group of individuals that were visionary, committed to growth, and even faced with political headwinds and the prospect of not being around to see that come to fruition completely, stepped up for the community and said, this is the right thing to do. And so today we celebrate a road. I'm here today to thank you on behalf of Jacksonville Onslow Economic Development, the staff, the board of directors, our chairman, Ed Garris, myself, vice chairman. And we just want to say thank you today and celebrate that we do have a road that will provide access to approximately 250 acres of developable industrial sites and have signed a contract on a new shell building. Economic developers tell me all the time that the most important tool in their arsenal is to have property, is to have a building available. I'm especially excited today to be here and be part of this celebration because you see, I'm a beneficiary of a future generation's visionary decisions. About 40 years ago, there was another group of leaders in this community, investors, elected officials, that decided to invest in economic development and put up a building at 352 White Street with really no prospects of having somebody to move into that. But in 1979, the company that's now known as MSA, the safety company, bought and occupied that property, set up manufacturing operations there, and a little over 25 years ago hired, at the time, a young plant engineer. And Joey Carter has been able to spend 25 years in this community and be a beneficiary of a great job, a great community, raise a family here, and have a very, very blessed life and plug into this community that I've grown to love so much. So for me to be able to kind of pay back and say thanks for that, it's extremely exciting for me. And if you will allow me just a moment of shameless self-promotion. After 25 years in this community, MSA recently offered an early retirement incentive package, to which I have accepted, and as of February 1st, will be retiring from MSA. But I have no desire to go anywhere. I didn't see this coming, to also have no job prospects. My wife has told me and made it abundantly clear I will be going back to work. So that also kind of adds to my excitement today and to our partners, Smith Senate and Parker and Associates and Pro Construction. We need to get this thing done expeditiously so we can get that building finished and occupied and hopefully have a new employer that needs a new manager. I need a job. So we do say thanks today. Thank you for the vision. Thank you for the love of our community. Thank you to each of you that have been a part of that. And we celebrate. We celebrate this road being passable. There'll be future celebrations, maybe a more official groundbreaking and ribbon cutting ceremony for the road, for the building. And in closing, let me just say this, that if we're going to continue to grow and support the JOED mission of promoting, supporting, encouraging job growth to help continue to meet our 5-year strategic plan that includes a new shell building, so that if we build it, they will come, so that we can have jobs, that the Joey Carters of the future can move to this great community we call home, and we can have our children and their children the prospects of prosperous jobs to stay in this community that many of them oftentimes don't want to leave but have to find a future, so that we can stay here as family. We need investors. We need continued investment. So I put that plea out. I'm sure that Sheila and Jeremy would never say, oh, sorry, too many folks at the table. We don't need your check. Yeah, that's not going to happen. You got a check. We got a bank account for it. And we can keep this rolling. So in closing today, thank you all for being here. To our leaders, thank you for your vision, for your dedication, even when sometimes you're not real popular, but you know it's the right thing to do. And it is. It's all got to come up, and we all have to do our part, and thank you that you've done that. Today we celebrate, tomorrow we grow. Sheila, to you and your staff, let's keep this engine rolling. Thank you all for being here today.